everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another stream, and welcome back to another video. Yes, I'm not quite ready, don't have all of my stuff prepared right now, but I'm pretty close. Yeah, what are we doing today? Well, we're continuing on the build of this 1/350 scale German battleship Tirpitz. This guy right here, yeah, by Tamiya. So we're continuing on that. I don't even know what part we're on. It's been over a week. It's been over a week since my last video. I've been doing a lot of stuff in between time. I'm now currently at about 100 hours working on this particular model kit, which is a lot more than I normally do. But it's because of the detail of this thing. I spent at least 10 hours just masking it to do the paint job on it. And I'll dig it up here. Here's our middle deck right there. Okay, but if I show you the hull, got a lot of work done on this guy here. So I had to do all the masking for this little camouflage pattern that they got going on there, and I did some weathering on the wooden decks. As you can see, that's actually going to be covered by the middle. So if I take this and just kind of set it down there, you get a better idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, and so yeah, so this camouflage pattern, it continues all up to on the bridge and everything like that. So that's going to go like that. So you get kind of an idea of how that camouflage pattern goes all the way up on there like that. So we're getting there. We are getting there. It's just very time consuming. It's taken a lot of time to do this. Very intricate kind of masking and painting and touch up and all this stuff. Painting the photo-etch. Parts like this is the photo-etch. This whole wooden deck here is photo-etch. The rail for the I guess what you call it, airplane launch. It's not really a launch, they just kind of sit on there. That's photo-etch, all that stuff. So I do have one little gun glued on there, so even the guns. Is it hard to make it all line up? It was a little bit difficult. It took a lot of, you know, eyeballing, look at the angles, okay, this piece of tape needs to go right here, that kind of thing, and it was very intricate and time consuming, really, more than anything else. Not so much difficult, just took a lot of time. But like even things like the gun here has the camouflage pattern that follows it up on the side there, right? So even those. Now I'm hoping to get the turrets put on today. So that's kind of what I want to start working on right now, is getting these little guns put on the middle deck. So obviously I've already put one on. There's a little piece that goes on underneath that you glue to it so that it's not going to go anywhere and you can still turn it. And that's the main idea, right? So what else? We have the rear part. This is not glued on here yet, but again, more masking and painting to get the camouflage to line up and all that on both sides. And of course it is different on both sides, right? They're not the same camouflage pattern. So yeah, it's not just one and done. That's done. I've got our little, they call them hangers, but I've put our little boats on the top of it there. Let's see if I can get you to, there we go. Little boats on top of the little hanger there. Painted the brown and the white with the black underneath on the hulls. There's one, there's two of those guys. Here's the other one here. Oops. Good thing it's good glue. Yeah, and again, you see a little camouflage on there because it's going to go on there like this, well, like this. And the camouflage, of course, continues up the side. If I get it on the right angle, you'll see that it matches as this part here travels up to there, right? What else? We've got our little boat hangar dock thing. We've got that. That's all painted up. So basically, the last week and a half, I've been doing a lot of painting, masking and painting, masking and painting, and that's why you guys haven't seen me. And I haven't been doing videos because, as you guys know, I don't really show you guys a lot of my painting process. I don't think that's really YouTube worthy. Got our little jib cranes. They're painted up. They're ready to go on. One is they are a little bit different as far as where the light gray and the dark gray is to match with the camouflage on each side. So there's definitely what do they call it? Port and starboard. Yeah. Got our main turrets painted up with their little blast bags, a little bit of a light brownish color. Of course, we got the wood deck painting in there around the anti-aircraft gun. Yeah, so that's about it. There we go. That guy goes here. Yeah. So each turret is painted a little bit different to match where it goes on the ship, right? The camouflage pattern is a little bit different on every single one. So it's a lot. Like I said, it took a lot of time, and so that's why. If you guys are wondering, well, he normally uploads like every week, and well, I skipped last week, literally because of this. So that's why. I did notice I got a comment on my part 1 of my F-22 Raptor build. Guy, I guess he figures I complain a little too much. Well, that's what I do. And if I'm not going to complain about stuff I don't like, then what's the point, right? So yeah, my music is just a little bit too in my face right now. So yeah, so let's start getting these little guys. These little tiny guns. See, this guy's just plain gray. You think, oh, it's just regular gray, but oh, he's got a little dark gray patch on him. And it goes in a certain spot, and they're all like that. There are a few that are just black, or not black, but just plain, one solid color. This guy, yep, just one solid color. Nothing too special. And they're like that. I actually got 3 of them that are all just plain dark gray. This guy has dark gray, it's got a little bit of a pattern on him, dark gray barrels, but the rest of it's pretty much light gray. Yeah, so, alright. One thing I did have to do is I actually removed the railings on this because with all the painting and masking, I kept on leaning on it and I kept on bending it over. How hard would the real gun of that little gun have been? How big? How big would it have been? Well, I can't tell you exactly, but I can give you a bit of a reference. On the back here, right here, where I'm pointing with the knife, is a little door that you could go into. And that is about half the height, a little bit less, actually. I would say it's about a third of the height of the back of this thing. So if you assume that this door is, say, 8 feet tall, 816, you could assume that the height of this thing was about 24 feet tall. So, yeah. That's about the only estimate I can give you there. Well, just judging by the size of the little door that's on the back of that, which you probably can't even see on the camera. Maybe in the dark gray one? I don't know. I'm pretty sure if I do this, you can probably get it. You can probably see it. See that little tiny door there? Yeah. Anyway, so I need to grab some parts here. So I think I'm going to need one of these. It's off of the F tree. It's off the effing tree. It's number 3. Bing, bing, bing. These guys here. this out of the way for now while I grab these. Okay. And then I got another F tree. Another F tree for the final two. I actually spent a couple of days just in the last week just kind of taking a break from this thing and not really doing anything other than just painting a couple of things just to touch up, because this, as much, you know, I spent a good week spending, you know, I took like 5 or 6 days where I literally spent, I'd get up in the morning, I'd make my coffee, I'd start working on this thing, and I literally would only take a break to eat. And that was it. And other than that, if I wasn't eating, I was working on this thing. And I probably spent like 5 days only doing that. That was it. This is what I was doing. It was like longer hours than my job. And yet I was on vacation. Okay, so we've got our little guys here. So now I gotta have the glue, and I need to determine exactly where they go. So I look at this one here, and I gotta determine which one goes there. Now, is it this guy? I'm gonna say no, because all around it is the dark gray. I believe he goes here. Nope, that's going to be this other guy. I think. Yes, this guy goes here. So through process of elimination, this guy goes here. We have a bit of light gray on the background of him and light gray in the front, but the dark gray stripe goes right up through it. So that's why he goes there. So all I do is hold him there while I flip this over, and I'm going to put a little dab of glue on his peg. Like that. And then with my tweezers, take this guy, put it down over top. Just like that. And just for good measure, make sure it's down flush. And just add a little bit more glue there. And that's it. And in theory, he will be glued, but not permanent. Okay? So while he's drying, we can take another one of these guys. It's not going to be this light gray one, it's going to be just a dark gray. And he's going to go here. I believe so. Just double checking my references. Yes, yes, and yes. So the two that have these extra little, I don't even know what they are. They're little sticky outy things. So you see how the two are different here. This guy's got these two little things that stick out on each side. These two go in these spots here. Okay. So again, through process of elimination, that's where they go. Okay. It also shows you in the instructions too. So again, a little dab of glue. Now, the reason why I just do a little dab right on the tip is so that it gets in the middle. So it might actually get in the middle of this, in the center. But I make sure I don't hit it with the sides. Because I don't want the piece to actually glue to the base. And then to make sure I don't get any, oops, see, I accidentally moved it. And now that piece wanted to disappear somewhere. And I don't know where it went, so I will look for it later. So I'll put another one down on it. Okay, so let's do this again. This time I don't move it. Okay, this one's probably dry enough that I can move it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put this down and I'm going to search for that piece that fell down on the floor. Let's see if I can find her. Well, it's gone. So, moving along, what I can do is improvise a piece. Okay, so we've got the 3 done on this side. Right away, we can take our first guy here. Since he goes right there, what I might actually do is kind of touch up the paint on that. Before I glue that one down. So before I do that, before I glue this guy, I'm going to touch up the paint on him. Now the dark gray is the dark sea gray. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. The dark gray is, it's the XF24 dark gray by Tamiya. That's the color I'm using on that for the dark gray on this. And so what I want to do is just, I don't know if you can see on the camera the angle. You got a nice sharp line on the turret, but then on its base it's kind of faded a little bit. It's not a sharp line, and so I just want to fix that a little bit. Even though it's not quite lined up, I almost should use the light gray to touch it up. Yeah. So the light gray that I have been using is actually a mixture. It's a 50-50, the dark sea gray and the dark gray. And I've just put it, this isn't the lid does not represent the color. And I got a little ball bearing in there to make sure it mixes nice. So, yeah. See? Gray. And this is the exact color, so it's going to match perfectly. So if the gun is sitting just like this, it should be that's better. So now I'm going to let the gun fall off. there we go. So just a little touch up, just one of those little details that, you know, just bug me if I don't fix it. So yeah, I just wanted to get that done before moving on. So I'll just clean my brush, quick and easy, lacquer thinner. Good enough. Taking off previous paint. All right. Okay, so I can glue this one down now. There we go. And that looks a little better. Nice crisp line. So once again, grab our glue. Just on the tip. Grab one of these. Just like that. Little extra just for added measure. Okay, that's another one done. Now we'll take this one, which goes here. Flip him over. Same deal. All right. Okay. 5 of the 6 done. And now we have the problem of our 6th turret, because I can't find the piece for it. So what do I do? Well, there are a few options that I could do. I could take any number of little pieces of plastic and I could put this through the hole and just take another piece of plastic and just glue it. Okay. Another option I could do is take a lighter or something hot and put this through and then press it onto there and melt it down, and that would make it mushroom out and then it won't go anywhere. That's another option, right? So which one's going to be easier? I do have a lighter, so that's not an issue. I also have plenty of extra sprue parts that I could utilize. Now, when I say put that through and add it on there, so what I'm talking about is I put my turret on here. You have the peg sticking through. Okay, so I could take just a little piece of sprue, anything, put a little dab of glue on it and just put it right beside it and glue it to the peg, and then it's not going to go anywhere, right? I could do that, and it's basically doing the same thing that these other pieces are doing, except instead of being around it, it's just one beside it, okay? And of course the other option is to heat it up and melt it down, and I could even just heat up anything, heat up the end of my knife with the lighter and just press down, squish it, and then it'll stay. Either one will work. So which one do I want to do? Let's try the sprue. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the sprue. So, in doing that, I will take, actually, I'm going to take this spare piece that I have here. just cut it. Cut a little piece off. And of course, I want to make sure it's going to fit in this hole. Let's turn this around. I'm going to make sure that it's going to fit in my little hole. Now, I want this to actually sit on something, so let's just take, sure if this works, a little USB stick. So the turret's actually sitting on there so that it's as far pressed down as it's going to go. Now, what am I going to do with this? What I can do, I don't need it this big. Okay, so this should work fine. We've got a flat spot to go down, and I actually got a pretty good little flat edge here to go against the peg. So that should work pretty good, just like that. So let's get our glue. And this, so that I can put it down against the edge, just like that. All right. Okay, so we'll let that sit, and since I have two, why not do it on the other side also? Just so that we have two, one on each side. There we go. So I'm going to let that sit. I want that glue to harden just a little bit before I do anything with it. Okay? So while this is sitting there like this, we're going to move on to the main hull. Okay? Because before I can even think about putting the center deck on, I have to put the main turrets on the front and the rear. Now, if you remember last time, I had put these pegs in there in an attempt to, because it's going to be almost impossible to line them up and hold them with my hand while I put the main turret on. Now, that worked fine for the front one. The tape is holding good there. The rear one, even though it's in there, is not really being held at all. I can get my hand in there. It's easier for the rear one to get my finger all the way in there and actually press on that piece. I know it's hard for you to see on the camera, but I can actually get in there and I can hold it. The front one is a little bit further. Okay, the front one I can't get my fingers all the way. It's too far ahead. It's further ahead from here than it is in the back, right? So it's just the nature of the beast. Maybe because the boat is narrower, I can't get my hand in there. Maybe it's not actually farther, it's just, I just can't get at it. So what I'm going to have to do, now the turret that goes on the front is this one. So if I try and push that turret down on there, it's just going to push this guy down. So what I am going to have to do remove this. That should be holding okay, but I want to give it a few minutes to hold. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over here. Okay. So we can play around with the hull. I have an old piece of sprue here that I've bent so that I can kind of get in there and press up on the bottom of that knob. See, and suddenly it presses up a little harder. Because I want to get glue on here, but I don't want to get it on the round part. So I'm going to put glue on the top of this, literally the opposite of what those other little guys are. See, I put a dab of glue on there and then press this down. It's probably going to be a tight fit, so I want to just trim that a little tiny bit so it's easier to line up. And then we'll put this on. So I'm going to get some glue. Hopefully this goes right. Dab of glue on that. Okay. Now, take my piece. Press up on it like that. Hopefully that's holding firm. It's a little hard to see. Okay, so I think I got it, but I don't know for sure. The gun actually wants to stay up. Why? I don't know. Guessing it's not fitting in properly. No, don't even have any glue. So even though it's doing that when I put the turret down, oh, it's holding it good. Let's see here. I got it this time. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it here. La-di-da, da-di-da. Yeah. I think we're good. So, now, a little hard to get my fingers out of there. So there's one. Okay. Let that sit. Let's go back to our other guys. While that sits for a minute. Okay, so this one now it's a little bit loose, right? A little bit wiggly, where these other ones are tight, right? This one's got a little bit of play. This one's got some play to it, right? If I get that at the right angle for you to see. It's got some play, right? But I don't think that's really going to matter. These ones, it turns, it ain't going anywhere, and that's the main thing. I could probably fix that, because the glue's not 100% hardened, so I can adjust the play in it. So, I've moved it a little bit, so which means I need to add some more glue. But now that these are kind of set there, adding glue is not an issue. Okay, I don't want the glue I don't want to take the chance of the glue running down. So make sure that's up, and we're going to let that sit again. Okay. Okay, so now that it's been a minute or two, so did it really even been 2 minutes? I don't know. Let's go to the rear. I don't remember which one is supposed to go here. So let's take a look at our camouflage pattern. And I'm pretty sure it's this guy. Yeah, because the paint don't line up at all on this one. So this is our rear. So this one I can actually get my finger all the way and do that. And press on it. So I actually have my finger underneath of it. And I want to tighten my glue. A little dab right on there. Make sure it's centered. A little bit loose, but I'm actually surprised at that the fit is not as good as I thought it would be. Okay, so here's a test. Does this fall off, or did the glue hold? I actually want to, because this one's still gluing. Feels like it's held because it won't turn because of the tape, and pulling up on it, I can't pull on it, I can't lift it off. So successful job, which means I can remove my piece of tape, hopefully without pulling the little thing out of there. Otherwise I'll have a bunch more work to do. Could just leave the tape in there. I see the tape moving. You can't on that camera. There. So that's a good sign that it's held, which means they ain't gonna fall off. So that's good. This one is a little loose though. But that's okay. Loose is okay. That just means it's going to turn. I do have this piece of tape that's stuck pretty good there. So before I do anything, I don't want to rip the tape off. I don't want to have the tape actually pull the thing out from underneath. So I want to really wait for the glue to set on that. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to put our main hull aside for a little while. And we can work on at least the main turret that goes here, okay? And that's going to be the one that goes in front of this, which is this guy, okay? He sits right here. And line up the hole. There we go. This thing, the little platform, actually, looking at reference pictures, this actually sits right on top, so you could, you know, guy can actually walk right out on top of this to get to that gun, to get to the anti-aircraft gun. Now when I originally glued this on, this actually sat and interfered with the turning of this. So I accidentally bumped this thing and it knocked it loose, so I have to re-glue this thing. As you can see, it's nice and wiggly, right? I need to re-glue that back down, which seems to be the pattern I'm having with this whole thing. All these photo-etched railings and everything like that just being knocked off and falling off, and I'm having to glue them and then re-glue and re-glue and re-glue like crazy, which is why it's kind of a blessing in disguise that these railings came off, because now I don't have to worry about them. I still have the railings on up front here and here, but no longer here and here, so I got to re-glue these, right? And then of course there are railings that go along the edge here and along back here. There's all these railings on the photo-etch sheets that I still have to do. I'm not really going to bore you guys with all the photo-etch, adding the railings and stuff, because it's just a long time consuming process, just like doing all the masking for the painting on this. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to want to focus with you guys. I want to focus on actually putting the kit parts together, not the additional photo-etch stuff, right? Because that's not what this is all about. I'm not a photo-etch builder. I'm not here to show you how to do photo-etch. Because, well, I'm not an expert at photo-etch. So anyway, what do I need? I need this, I need F6, the bigger one, bigger plug. F6 is this. I'm going to need both of them, but I'll do one at a time. This is F6. Okay. Now this is the one that's underneath the main deck, right? It goes into there. Now it should fit just fine like that. I don't know why that one, the rear turret, is loose. I must not have it lined up properly. It's the only thing I can think of why it's not, because it's loose. And it shouldn't, oops, and it shouldn't be loose. So it should just, I don't know. I don't know why it's not lining up. Should line up absolutely perfectly, but it doesn't. It didn't go in at the right angle for some reason. So I don't know. It's definitely in there tight now. So I'm going to remove the tape out of that one. Grabbing the tape is a challenge in and of itself. Managed to shove it in there so there's no, it works, it ain't going anywhere, and I can almost hold the whole boat up with that now. That's good. So that, in theory, I can do that to the front. There we go. Tape's removed, and this guy, he turns, and just almost no play. So, success, and not going anywhere. Yay! That means I can put the center deck on. It's just a little cumbersome right now, so I don't want to do that. Also, I gotta put these two on first. So, this guy goes here. Or I can do this. Now, this was the challenge, of course. Put this in like that, and then have it in the middle, right? which is not the end of the world. I don't have a piece of tape on there. Okay, you can hold it like that. It's pretty much in the middle. Dab of glue. Now I don't mind touching the sides a little bit to get it lined up. There we go. Just like that. There we go. Now the rear one, I'm a little hesitant because I do have photo-etched railings I need to put there and there. So maybe I'll do that first. So you guys get to watch me deal with photo-etch again. Don't need this now. And I don't need my masking tape over here. And I'm not going to need this guy right now. So, photo-etch. Gotta get my photo-etch instructions. I'm going to turn this guy like this, just in case. Okay. Photo-etch papers. Okay. This is part one. That's not what we're dealing with. I've already dealt with this end. Taken all those off. And we've added the ones there. So it's this side we've got to deal with. It's the rear part. So that's that one. This page is completely finished, I think. I have to double check because it's been a while now. Here we are on the rear. Okay, they have it facing this way, so I'll face it that way too. So I have these pieces. I need number 304 to go here and here. Number 304, okay? So let's take a look. And then we're gonna need, that's gotta go there, but that's not right now. Okay. So we need 304. That's what I'm gonna look for, 304. I believe that's gonna be on the final sheet, number 4, part 4. Ah, they're right there. And thankfully they're nice and solid. They're not the thin, fragile railings. I have found that I can pretty much get away with cutting them on this cardboard as long as I don't press too much pressure. Then it seems to not damage it. It doesn't warp it very much. Even though I should be using like maybe a piece of glass or something like that, something very hard so that it doesn't bend, because this brass stuff bends very easy. Okay, so let's have a look at these. How are these supposed to bend? They always have these little notches There's nothing here, and I do need, it's a little rough, so I want to sand it a little bit better, just to smoothen it out. You have to be careful when you're sanding your nubs off, because you can catch it and then accidentally bend it where you don't want it bent. I found the railings to be very delicate when it comes to that. You have to put extremely light pressure when you're sanding them off to get rid of those, your little nub marks. They're just really fragile like that, and it bends really easy. I don't know if you can hear that or not, especially over my air conditioner, it being 27 degrees outside right now. Sorry, you guys in the States, I don't know what 27 in Fahrenheit is. Okay. So there we go. So these don't actually have, normally they've got little notches where you bend them or where you fold them. These don't. These have little dots for some reason. And I think that's just where it's supposed to bend, because you're not folding it, you're just bending it. I'm just gonna double check here. They do want the dots facing outside. So that's what we're going to do. So let's grab our deck. That's with an E, not an I. Okay. Now, options I have. You could put down a little drop of glue there, and then you could glue it like this, okay, and just glue that down temporarily in its spot, okay, like this, and then it would be glued, okay, and then you could bend it a little bit, put a little bit of glue down, let it sit, bend it some more, and just do bit by bit by bit until you get to this part here. You could do that, right? But what I want to do is kind of pre-bend it a little bit in the spot it's supposed to be. Have a look at whereabouts it is. It starts right there. Okay, so the bend starts right here, right? And I want to give it a little bit of a bend right there. Just so that it's a little easier for it to stand up on its own. Okay? And I'll do that for this side too. Line this up. The bend is going to start right here. There we go. So now I've got something to start with, right? And it's not going to matter which side I do. They're both the same. So my glue that I have, I was using the Flexi 5K by VMS. Okay, and this happens to be the black version, but I had the regular version, and it wound up drying up on me, even though I had not opened it up until I started building this thing. And it's supposed to be good for, they advertise something like a year or something upon opening. Well, it hadn't even been a month, and it literally, it turned to gel, and then it turned to a solid, and I couldn't do anything. It became absolutely useless, and I still had a good 1/4 inch of it left in the bottom of this easily. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if one day I didn't have it tightened all the way and it got a lot of air in there and it managed to dry up. I don't know. I really don't know. So yeah, I wound up having to throw it out. Meanwhile, this stuff has been a kind of a thick gel for a long time, and it still pours, it's still good. So I don't know what happened. I'm not sure. I can only assume it was an error on my part. Because it should have been fine. And it should have been fine for a very long time. But it, like I said, it dried up on me, and I don't know why. I like to have it a bit of an angle so I actually get a little bit of a pool at the bottom there. So this one is nice and tight, and it's actually a little bit stringy, but it still pours. Obviously, the purple lid on this has glued itself to the thing, and I cannot remove it anymore, which is why I poured directly out of the bottle into that. So, taking these off for accuracy. Go. There's one. A little too much on there. This one's now glued pretty good, so I can work on bending it. So I want to hold it in place as good as I can while trying to bend it. And it's a little bit difficult. Fortunately, the radius pretty much works with this. Now, the chances of me breaking the bond is very high, especially since the bond is not perfect right now. It definitely hasn't set at all. But it does allow me to get and start bending it. That. So we're getting somewhere. See, I've just broken this loose again, but that's fine. That's perfectly all right, because it lets me get in there start bending it to where it needs to go. Now that that radius is pretty much done, I could glue that just like that. Just get in there. Now I'll just hold that for a minute. So we got one done. Well, not quite, I'm still holding it. See, this one's completely loose now, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. This one, I just have to hold this one for a minute while I let the glue kind of sets. Now I do have some accelerator, and I could use that if I get sick of holding this, if it doesn't want to hold. Because this glue does, this particular one takes a minute or so for it to really set good. Let's try letting go. Yay, it's holding. Okay, so let's get this one back in its spot. And try and get her bent properly. That's a little better. It's pretty close. Okay, so again, we're going to start with just the front edge. I'm just going to sit like that for a minute. Okay, we'll just let it sit for a little bit longer this time. In the meantime, I want to add a little bit more to this side, just to make sure it's going to hold really well. Now, with this one now in place, although not quite, we're just going to let her sit for a minute longer. Okay? So while we're waiting for that, I've yet to determine what color I should be painting these guns. These guys, they call them the high angle guns, and there's there's 8. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to paint them just all their own color. They go like that. There's one there. Right? They go on these little pegs. These ones actually get glued down. These ones don't move. Now, I've got a feeling that these ones, like in the pictures I've seen, these ones don't really conform to the whole camouflage aspect. They're one color and that's it. But that doesn't seem right. Like, this one should be light gray to match with this particular spot right there. But then the one behind it, that should be dark gray. And this one here should be light gray, and this one here should be dark gray. So I think I might actually do that. Not doing like the whole pattern of the stripe going up it or whatever, but doing it just to match. So I need to do that on these guys and get them to match their colors, because right now all I've done is I've just primed them. It's just primer on them, and so their colors don't actually match the kit. So that's another thing I need to do. Let's see, how are we doing now? Now that I've been talking for a minute, good boy, good boy. So, let's add some more glue. get you lined up. Okay, so we're going to hold there for a minute and let that set. Now, one thing that I've learned with the Photo-etch, especially with these big sheets, I don't know if you can tell on the camera right there, I've got some where the paint is kind of coming off a little bit. Even though I primed it with Mr. Surfacer Primer, it doesn't want to stick very well. It's not that great. It's not doing its job helping the paint stick to it. Now, it obviously works great on plastic, but it doesn't work great on Photo-etch. Now, I've discovered there is an actual metal primer out there that I would have been better off doing, but I didn't know about it, so I got to plead ignorance on that. Which means, as I've been working with this and moving it and touching it and moving and things and test fitting stuff, I've had to touch up the paint a lot, right? Of course, once I'm all finished and this thing is getting a coat of clear coat on it, that'll probably seal it in a lot better because it'll all be one uniform coat of paint. But yeah, it's been a learning experience, to say the least. Okay, so let's see how this holds. And we're good. All right. So, I want to add a little bit more just to the front edge. There we go. So our railing's on. I want to just touch up a little bit here. It's just a little bit too much. All right. We're good. So that's that. Let's put this aside here. Now we can put our turret on. Now that I've done all that, now imagine how much trouble that would have been if I'd already put the turret on there. That would have been a nightmare. Okay, so we have our turret, and we need that plug. So that was on the F tree. And that was this guy here. This guy here, we're going to need our glue. Now, even though I probably don't need to test fit, I'm still going to do it. Okay, fits perfect. I do have a little bit of flashing on there, so I'm going to clean that up. There we go. Okay, so put our plug in. Like that. Glue on there. Lined up, pressed together. We're good. Just give it a second. There we go. Front and rear turrets installed. All right, good to go. Good to go. Good to go. Now, here's a thought. Do I install everything onto this and then put it on the boat? And then put it on the hull? Or do I put this on the hull and then put everything on top? For simplicity purposes, putting everything together on this that needs to be done and then installing it on the boat, that sounds pretty good, because if I put this on the boat now I have something that's this long that I've got to manipulate to put everything on. And if I just put everything on now I only have this thing to deal with, right? And that makes life a lot easier. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put everything on here first and then put it on the hull. Okay? So, that means, what do I need to do? Well, I have to put this on. Okay, this guy goes here. Oops, we've got to turn our turret around here first. This guy goes here. Okay, we have one little hanger. He goes on this side, so we start with this one. Notice the difference in the camouflage pattern, right? This one goes here. No, sorry. This one. Where do they go? This guy goes here. Here. This guy goes here. Okay. We have our funnel, I believe it's called. Squeezes in between them, so I'll just take this one off. This guy goes like this. Fits in there. And this other guy goes on this side. Okay. Then we have our little guy here. Goes like this. And then we have our rear bridge. I guess it's called a bridge. It's going to go right there. Just like that. This guy should line up, fit in there. There we go. And that's basically it. We've got our little cranes. They go here. Like this. Which can go on after because they are very delicate. And they just sit in the holes there, and that's all they do. Okay. They're going to sit like that. Okay. Little planes. These guys got to go on. It's going to go like that. It's just going to sit like that. I've got another one. And that's basically it for these. So that's what it's going to take to finish this off. Wow, that's a close fit. Wow. There's like that much room between them. Anyway, so that's that. And that's what it's going to take for this. So, but I've got all these, I've got little guns to put on, I've got railings to put on, I've got all of these little anti-aircraft guns need to be put on. And yes, these little guys that just look like tiny little pieces of gray plastic, these are actually, I've painted these, they're all gunmetal color, and they go on all these little spots everywhere, as well as these larger ones. Okay? Which these ones have actually three different colors on them. There's a lighter gray, there's a gunmetal color, and there's a wood deck tan color on the bottom plates of them. Camera, you're not going to be able to pick that up, but yeah, if you look closely at them in real life, there's one there and there, you can see that. Where I haven't really done that is on these two that are on each side of the funnel here. These just got the gunmetal and the dark gray, and that's it. Yeah, so other little boats, one goes here, one goes there. There is another little, I don't even know what it's called. Where is it here? I still have to assemble those things. Launch carriers. Where one goes on each side of the deck. They go in between. They go in here somewhere. There's no holes, but they go in between. Yeah. Anyway, and of course we have the mast that goes here. The main mast goes up there. Just what I can see, I've got a bent ladder on this mast, which doesn't look very good right now. So I've got to fix that up. So yeah, I've got all these little things. It's coming together. It's getting there. We are almost at the point of assembly. I need to fix my bent ladder. How did that get bent without... That's really weird. That one time I knocked this, it must have bent the mast somehow. Anyway, yeah, so I guess that's kind of where I am right now with this thing. I'm gonna check something out quick here. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. At least I got the turrets on. That's a good step, especially on the main hull. I think I'm at a point with this guy. I can finally glue this on. And, well, in a sense, that reduces the number of parts on my desk. Finally glued on there and finally happy to be in his home. Yeah. Just a little more for good measure. Just to make sure he stays put forever. Yeah. Okay, there's that. Done. But like I said, I'm not ready to glue him down here yet, even though I probably could. I don't want to do it yet because I've got railings to put on, and the less stuff I have to work around, the easier, right? So of course the railings here are already there and they're already bent where they need to be, but that's a whole nother thing, because I've got little guns I got to put there and all this other little stuff. I need to assemble the launch carriers. That's just little 3 pieces and done. Let's actually take a look at those right now. K21 and K5. Let's see here. Where's my K tree? That's F. J. D. K. Okay. So we need 5 and 21. So here's number 5. Now they did have these things available to assemble as photo-etch parts, but I did not really see very much benefit in making these out of photo-etch instead. I know some people are like, well, you've got all that photo-etch, why not make it, right? But at the same time, I balance it against is it worth spending an hour assembling a photo and folding everything and doing that? Or, you know, is that actually going to add to the detail, or is it just a waste of time, right? If it's just a big waste of time, then I'm not going to bother. If the detail on the kit part is good enough, then that's fine. Now, I did decide all the little anti-aircraft guns. Originally, when I first saw them, I was like, there's no way, I'm not bothering with that. So all this folding and tiny little intricate folds I need to do to build these guns. But then when I looked at, so I built one, and when I compared it to the kit part, I really had to go with the Photo-etch. The Photo-etch really was a much higher detailed piece. And once it's painted and everything, it looks good. The kit part just didn't cut it. So, I take this, and I take one of these, and they go on the end. Go in there. Okay. But they're showing in here that there's holes for them to go in, but those holes have been covered up by the Photo-etch. So the little pegs on the bottom of these where the holes would go in, I need to get rid of them, because they're now just going to be a little flush mount. There's nothing wrong with that. It just makes it a little more difficult. It's going to be a little bit harder to make sure they're in the exact same spot on both sides. You know what I mean? Because now I don't have the holes to guide me. So I just want to make sure these actually are flush, nice and flat, because that's now going to be important for when I go to glue them on. And it's much easier to do it now on these than when they're glued onto their other pieces. Go. One more. There we go. Okay. So, let's glue them together. One. Glue right there. Glues like that. Straight up and down is what we want. Not crooked. There we go. So I guess I can just do this. Another one. Put it on there. Straight up and down. Here we go. And that's all it is. Okay. So this is what they call the launch carrier, okay? That guy. And we'll make two. So, let's grab the other one. What do you guys think? Should I do the main mast? Get that guy assembled? Let's do that today too. Sure, why not? One less thing to do later, right? It's pretty straight up and down to me. Okay, so those are done. So let's take a look at the main mast, which means I'm going to put this aside for now. And hopefully not drop it anywhere. Okay, so let's take, I know the main mast is something I've yet to assemble, and it is something that needs to be done fairly soon before assembly. It is one of the last things in the book, in the instructions, that we assemble. But we're going to take J2 and D13. Okay? J2 and D13. I think that's it. Is that how it is? Just two pieces? I thought there was more to it than that. Let me see. Well, let's find our J. J2. This big guy here. It's the last piece of the J tree. And then what did I need? D13? D. Where's my D? Here's my D. $13. Right there. But I'm also going to need D9, which is this guy here. We've got a couple of anchors, and then we've got another little mast here. Oh, that goes on the top there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but I know from looking at the photo etch instructions, there's a lot of photo etching to add to this guy, to this main mast. So it's possible that one of the pieces gets replaced with photo etch detail, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to have to refer to that first. So I know there's a big section in the photo etched instructions dedicated to this mast. So we'll see. You know, maybe this piece gets replaced. I don't know. I'm still cleaning it up just in case. Okay, there's that, and then we've got this little guy. It almost looks like a little crow's nest or something. It could be. That's exactly what it is. But again, I don't know. This thing might be replaced with a photo etched part. It might not be. I don't know. So let's see. Let's take a look at those instructions. Number 8, 9, 10. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, here we go. Boom. So we don't replace any parts. We just have a whole lot of photo etch to add onto it. Ah, they're telling me that D13 is not used. Okay, so this little crow's nest guy is not actually used. And D3 and also F27. They're little side pieces. F27 don't get used, so I'm going to mark this out on here. So we don't use D13, we don't use F27, and we don't use D3. Alright then. So this is gone. I'm guessing what happens with when you get stuff like this, it's because things like this, this might have been used on the Bismarck, but because this is basically the sister ship to the Bismarck, a lot of stuff that would have been on the Bismarck doesn't get used on theirs, but it's in the kit anyway, right? So what they actually want me to do is fill in this little notch here, but this notch we're not filling in, we're actually going to put this on. And it's kind of sits in, thank you glasses, sits in kind of like this and just sits at a nice angle. At least that's what it looks like. It just sits in flush like that, and you just kind of hope that you get it upright and lined up and it stays. That's what it's looking like. So, put some glue on there, and we'll line it up as best as we can. Kind of tricky because you have to go against the gravity a little bit on it. But you want it straight, you want it all angles you can conceive, you want it straight. And I think I have been successful. But I want to use a little extra glue, and I'm even tempted to use a little crazy glue. It's one of those pieces that, whoa. That was unexpected. Okay, I think I got it now. When I put the thin set on there, it's like it got rid of the thicker stuff. think I got it now. Okay, so that's that. So, but I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm not going to touch it for a while. And I might even just give it a good 10 minutes and then put more on there, just to make sure I've got a good bond on those two pieces. Next time you guys see that, it's going to have a whole bunch of photo-etch stuff on it, because there's a lot of photo-etch parts and pieces to go onto this mast. So I'm going to basically spend the rest of the day doing that. That's going to be my project for today, is doing that. I just realized there's photo-etch parts to go on the little planes, and I didn't know about that. That's interesting. Even on the airplanes, there's a little thing that's going to go up in between here for it to sit on. That's interesting. That's pretty neat. Anyway, so I guess that's where I'm going to leave it for now, guys, and going to call it a day. Leave it at that, and just looking at it from a different angle, it's like it's not lined up. We look good now. Okay. Yeah, so what was I saying? Is I'm going to leave it here for now. Call it a day. That'll be it. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for coming out. Thanks for the new subscribers this week. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. So thanks again. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming out. If you like my videos, hit the like button. That really helps me out a lot. Please and thank you. Yeah. So I'm gonna work on some photo etching this afternoon and tonight, for the most part, and we'll see if we can get some more assembly done tomorrow, and yeah, go from there. So thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming out, and yeah, that's about it for now. And so I guess we'll see you all in the next one.